Hey guys, welcome back. This is Martin with Time by Martin, and today I am going to be taking a deeper dive into my watchmaking journey with this Timex Expedition Indiglo that I found at a local thrift store called the Thrifty Nickel. And I didn't get it for a nickel, unfortunately, but I did get it for a good price. But as we can see here, it is pretty dirty. I can see the crystal. It's got quite a few scratches all over it. I undo the strap and can see that there's some lint in the Velcro. Just the strap overall is pretty dirty. I take a look at the very underside of the strap, and that seemed to be the dirtiest spot. As you can see, the whole strap overall was just in pretty dirty condition, but we should be able to get it cleaned. But one of the first things that I like to check whenever I'm at a thrift store or getting a watch that isn't running, because this one was not running, is to kind of make sure that the date is going to be changing. So that is something that I check here, making sure that the date changes from 18 to 19. Didn't really change exactly at midnight, but it did change at 1 o'clock. I'm sure that's not really that big of a deal. But first I'm going to be using the spring bar tool. I'm going to go ahead and take off the spring bars. The spring bars were a little bit tough to get off. They weren't as springy as I was expecting them to be. So I get this first one off, go ahead and take it, put it to the side. And the second one was even tougher to get off. It took me quite a few tries to get this one off, but eventually I pry it off. You can see me doing that here. So now I have the strap off, and you can see what the spring bar looks like right here. I'm going to kind of try to squeeze it, but as you can see, again, it is not very springy, not as springy as it needs to be. And with the strap off, we can take a better look at the case. We can see the scratches still on the crystal. I flip it over and we can see the Timex stamp right here. Underneath the backside where the straps attach, we can see that there's dirt building up right here. There's even dirt going inside the screws. And after that, I come and get a parts tray. I start putting the spring bars in the parts tray to keep them from getting even dirtier. Then I just kind of set those to the side for right now. Next, I get my strap and I put it in some warm water that I mixed with some dish soap. Made sure to push it all the way down to make sure everything gets soaked. And I leave it there for about an hour. Then I come back to the case. I come to the dirtiest side of the watch. I get my pegwood right here and I start trying to clean it. I give it a few passes with the pegwood, scrape it a few times. And after a few passes, I could immediately tell that there is some dirt starting to build up on my pegwood. Look at that, just a nice chunk of dirt on the pegwood. After that, I come back to the watch. I still try to clean it, cleaning the underside of where the straps go. Got to make sure to clean the screws. Try to clean the whole case. Well, I try to get as much of it as I can. Go around the back, try to get the holes where the spring bars attach. Go around where the crystal is. Try to go around the crown. I pull out the crown and clean the crown a little bit. After cleaning the whole case with my pegwood, I see the dirt build up on my mat and I had to wipe it away with my microfiber towel. Next, I get this Phillips screwdriver because the screws were actually Phillips screws, which was very interesting. I didn't think that my first watch was going to be Phillips screws to take off the case back, but it was. And so I take off the screws, take off this last one. And the case back did not immediately just pop off, so I had to use a case back opener tool that I have to kind of pry it off. And we see it there pop off a little bit. I lift it up. It exposes the battery. Set the case back to the side. And now I get my parts tray. Start putting all the parts inside the parts tray. Start grabbing these little screws. And these screws were a lot smaller than I thought they were going to be whenever I first started my watchmaking journey. But so I put those in the parts tray. Get the case back, put that in the parts tray, and I put those to the side. Next, we can see that the battery's still in there. We need to take that out, so I just grab a pair of tweezers and pull out the Panasonic battery. Next, I'm going to use some Rodico that I have to kind of pick up any of the dirt that's left over from when I cleaned it with the pegwood. Want to pick up any residual dirt on the inside, on the outside, around the crown. After doing that, I figured out that I left the gasket on. So after using the Rodico, I finally decided to take the gasket off. Set that to the side. After all of that, I finally come back to the watch strap and I start cleaning the watch strap using a toothbrush here. Nothing harsh. Give it a good cleaning, try to get it all around. Get the Timex and the E symbols on the straps. Just trying to make sure that I get the whole strap, you know. Next, I see that the lint is still on the Velcro. I get some tweezers that I just have kind of lying around the house. I pull at this lint, and after soaking for like an hour, it was pretty easy to pull off. It came off in pretty neat chunks. Just kind of get to wipe those on the microfiber towel right there. One last little piece. Oh, well, a couple last little pieces. After getting the lint off, I put it back in a little bit, scrub it some more. Again, as we saw in the very beginning of the video, the strap was pretty dirty, so I wanted to make sure to get everything, get underneath where the case attaches to it. Then I set it to the side, kind of get some paper towels, pat it dry on the microfiber towels right there. Transition it to the paper towels. Trying to pat it dry a little bit, get it as dry as I can. And then after that, I kind of just leave it there for the rest of the day to dry. Next, I come to my parts tray. I get the parts. This is kind of a cage that came with my ultrasonic cleaner that I'm going to use to clean the parts. I'm going to put the spring bars in there, going to put the screws in there. And I kind of decided to just kind of leave the case by itself. I just put the case just kind of in the basket. But it's at this point when I look at the case that I can still see that there's a sticker on the case back. So I decide to use my pegwood to kind of scrape it off. Use my tweezers to pick up the sticker. And that's what the sticker looked like. Next, I get to use my ultrasonic cleaner. I put the Timex case back inside the basket. I get the ball that's holding the parts, put that inside the basket. I have my ultrasonic cleaner set to 32 degrees Celsius. I have the timer set to 3 minutes. Put it in. We get to see it here running for a couple of seconds. And getting to watch the ultrasonic cleaner clean the dirty watch parts is probably one of my favorite aspects of cleaning the watches. Here I pull out the basket, kind of make sure it's not dripping all over the place, give it a few taps, put it on this microfiber towel that I have. Next, I'm going to transfer it to this microfiber towel. I get the ball that's holding all my parts, put that right there. Almost touched the clean case back with my bare hands, but thankfully saved myself at the last second. I open the ball with all the parts, dump it onto my microfiber towel. And initially, it was hard to see that the screws came out. I didn't think that the screws came out. I thought they were still stuck in there. So then I pat dry the parts. I moved them to a paper towel to kind of let them dry. I let them dry for another probably about 30 minutes. Then you see me here putting them back into the parts tray, getting the spring bars, getting all of the little screws. Make sure I don't forget anything. Take that. Next, we're going to be coming back to the case of the watch, going to be using some Polywatch here to clean the crystal. This is my first time using Polywatch. Grab my microfiber towel, give it a good scrub. I think I used 2 coats on this, scrubbed it for about 3 minutes each time, and we can see a definite improvement of the crystal. We can still see scratches on it, but it looks a lot better than what it originally did. And so after cleaning the crystal, I turn it over and I go ahead and start putting my gasket back on. Putting the gasket back on was another thing that I thought was going to be simple, but ended up taking me a couple minutes to do. You see me here using the probe stick and a pair of tweezers to kind of go around the gasket, make sure that it fits perfectly. After putting the gasket on, we change the battery. We can see the old Panasonic battery on the right and the new Energizer battery that I'm going to replace it with on the left. And go ahead and put that in. And after putting the battery on, I bring my parts back, the clean parts from the ultrasonic cleaner. I grab the case back, set the other parts to the side, grab the case, and I put the case back on. And again, I had to kind of push it in to snap it on. When I took the screws off, like I said before, it didn't really just fall off. I kind of had to pry it off with a case back tool. So had to snap it back on with my thumbs. Next, I get the tweezers, put all of the screws in. You can see me doing that here. And it's at this point I start to get a little bit nervous. When I put the battery in, I did not check if it worked. I decided to check if it was going to work whenever I fully put the whole case back on. So I start screwing in this last screw. Get a little nervous. And I flip it over and it's not working. But thankfully it's because I forgot to push the crown in all the way. Once I push the crown in all the way, we can see that it jumps to life. We see it ticking away, and we see that it works. After putting the battery in and making sure that everything works, there was some other things I wanted to make sure that worked on the watch. Here we can see that the loom is working pretty well. But next, what I wanted to check was to see if the Indiglo was going to work. I push it in, and of course, it works. Fantastic. You can even see the Indiglo working without me covering it with my hand. After making sure that the Indiglo on the watch works, I come back to my parts tray. I get my spring bars out, get my strap, and I go ahead and start trying to put the strap back on. Put the case where it's supposed to go on the strap. Get my spring bar tool, push in this first spring bar. Here we can see that it was snapped into place. I come back over to the other side, try to get this second spring bar in, using my spring bar tool. And they were much easier to put on than they were to take off. And with the strap on, we can see what the finishing product looks like. We can see the crystal cleaned up a little bit. Can see the side of the case. Come to the other side. We see the Timex logo right there cleaned up. Show you down the strap. Show you the Velcro that had the lint in it. The E for expedition that was filled with dirt. And here I am showing you the back of the strap. This was the dirtiest part of the strap when we looked at it at the very beginning. Here we see the Expedition logo on the other side. I go ahead and start closing the strap, and that is going to be it. If you guys are going to be interested in picking up this watch that I worked on, I'll have a link in the description. Please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.